today's World Insight, back to school and almost normal for students in China with public safety measures in place. How is education adapting to today's global realities? And different perspectives, various voices after the US's full exit from Afghanistan. Hear from the Taliban spokesman, the Afghan resistance, the humanitarian effort, the top Chinese diplomat in Kabul, and the Chinese military strategy.
In the future, we have to.
Here is our host, Tian Wei.
Hello and welcome to World Insight. I'm Tian Wei. Today is the first day of September. This means a new semester is starting for most schools in the world. Here in China as well, with the pandemic largely under control and precautions in place, kids can take classes in person and socialize with their peers with masks on. The situation varies in other countries as the new coronavirus variants cause new outbreaks. How can education adapt to today's realities, and how can people come together in overcoming difficulties to help children thrive both academically and socially? Meanwhile, China has been having some recent new policies toward education and children's entertainment. What would that mean for the overall school life? Let's loop in our panelists. The new semester begins. On that, we have Wang Yan, Associate Research Fellow from Beijing Foreign Studies University, Wang Shi, Vice Principal at Tsinghua International School, Bao Xiang Lake, and David Moser. So I want to congratulate all of you on the new semester. How you are doing so far?
Yesterday we opened the school, and also yesterday was the first day, and we welcome students back. They are excited. We are thrilled.
Actually, after a break of several holidays, and students and teachers are charged and get ready for the new semester. Although this would be a semester slightly different from before COVID-19, but there are many new things to be expected.
What about for you, David?
So far, so good. We're all doing classes in the classroom, so that's a good thing.
Well, of course, we are looking at the new semester with a very different lens, right? Just earlier, a few weeks earlier, China was experiencing the challenges of the Delta variant. It seems that things are calming down and schools can be opened and students are coming back. But this is a very different way, you know, how students would appreciate the school life, isn't it, David?
Yes, indeed. I was teaching both foreign students and Chinese students last semester, and it was very hard on them to be stuck on campus and not be able to get out in this great city of Beijing. That was almost torture for them, especially since some of them actually live in Beijing. So, yeah, this is a much better semester, I think, partially because even if there is a breakout suddenly, everyone knows what to do. There's no uncertainty, and there's a lot of optimism that they can avoid that, in fact.
We have kind of, very strict, policies for the students who are coming back. And also we have a very special stand in front of the gate, and we'll check the students' nucleic, detection, acid detection, and also the report, and also the health kit, and so on. The students are from, most of them are from Beijing locally, and also we have international, staff from different parts of China, and even some from overseas. So they also parse the, quarantine things, and they're pretty cool. And it's like we have all the stuff ready for the new start of the beginning of the new semester.
What about for you, Ms. Wang?
When actually the results from the COVID-19, the students get to appreciate more than before the campus life, and when they come back to the campus and to be together with their peer students, the professors and teachers, they can value more about this great learning experience on a beautiful campus. And second is similar to the schools, now our universities or higher education institutions also observe very strict health protocols like the temperature check at the gate, and then the physical distance among the students and the faculties at on campus, and also wearing masks, etc. And also, I believe that because now there will be more courses offered online, this actually is kind of like expansion of the educational or learning opportunities for students, partly for the pandemic prevention purposes, partly is a kind of educational advancement.
Well, that certainly is one part of the new semester, isn't it? People appreciate much more about an environment in which they can, interact and work with their peers. The other thing really is about the latest regulation changes in China, one after another about education, not only online extracurricular education, but also, exams to the students that are 7 or 6 years old, no written exams. What would that mean? Wang-Shi, maybe I go to you, since your students are having a very different age groups. Tell me more about that.
Oh yeah, it's like for us, and yeah, from the K to 12, education, schools, definitely we have this kind of policy, and also we really want to implement as the government, education bureau to ask us to do, and we will have the extracurricular activities after school, so students will stay in the campus, and we offer all kinds of resources and also courses for them to do. And yeah, it's brand new, but we have done these similar things before, because like our school is more like an international education institution, so students can really explore different disciplinaries and also different fields they have interest in. So the parents probably they have their own concern, but I think they can find another way to solve this kind of problem. Probably some parents still have the traditional philosophy of education, and in the past they believe a lot of demanding curriculum and also the extra workload like after school and also homework. They are already kind of used to it. So they probably will say, hey, they need this kind of test prep or some other academic driven things to make their students to work harder in order to achieve high level things. So yeah, probably they are already used to it. So far they found, okay, that is their comfort zone. Probably they have to change a little bit.
Interesting. David, I'm sure you've heard about the new regulations about the 6 or 7 years old not having written exams anymore, and there are, banning of the extracurriculum activities outside the usual school hours. How do you see these kind of regulations?
I've been here for almost 30 years, and one of the biggest complaints I hear about the education system is that there's too much of a workload on the students, especially the high school that prepare for the Gaokao, for the college entrance exam. And I've seen the rise of these cram schools, they call them, or these extracurriculars that the parents push on the kids. There's been talk for a long time by educational experts, the educational psychologists, who tell us that kids need time for themselves to learn, to play, to relax, to exercise their bodies, and so on. And I think this is probably a long overdue reform. And it also keeps parents from doing something that I think China doesn't want them to do, which is to step outside of the Chinese education system and to go overseas or adopt some alternative form of education. So this will at least help keep more people within the system, and the best and brightest students will stay there.
But Ms. Wang, do you think these kind of regulations would really change the nature of Chinese education, which has been there, for decades, if not a few hundred years, the way it's done?
Well, my answer would be yes, definitely. But similar to all the education reform in the world, successful ones, it will be an incremental or gradual process. So through this policy, the first is the teachers, they have to change their way of teaching and to apply more analytical and the diagnostic functions of the homework instead of just the drills or role learning in developing the students' assignments. And also more analysis will be integrated into the overall teaching processes. And then to students, well, I think this will definitely help them to change their methods or approach of learning, rather instead of just memorization.
Yeah.
And they have more time and more room to explore explore their the knowledge and skills.
You know, Ms. Wang, Mr. Moser, you guys could argue, wow, the students need more time for themselves. They don't have to go through these written exams so early in their age. But Mr. Wang Shi actually have to handle those issues because he's bringing students at least to apply for schools overseas, and some of his peers actually are teaching students that have to go through the college entrance examination. So Mr. Wang, tell me more about what you're thinking right now.
I found it's an interesting, policy here, and I should say some students probably believe it's kind of one way for them to get to, to do the test prep and also working for the test only for the Gaokao without doing any other extracurriculars that they can change their future. They can make a difference to themselves. So they still keep doing that. But I think it's probably seems like, moved earlier to like entrance examination to high school. So because like you can see, we also have another kind of policy that is someone just maybe rumored or maybe not the exact number, that is 50-50, which means 50% of students will go to like vocational training schools and after their middle school studying of the mandatory education,
right.
And then 50 will go to the high school in order to go to the top university and colleges and so on. So the students and the parents, they probably want to have, make a choice that whether they find which way is better for the students, development and the future.
What you're talking about, of course, is still not decided, but it's going to be a dramatic change about the direction of education. David, how do you see all these possibilities?
Well, China's education system has for the past couple decades been quite dynamic, and we've watched this happen. It's opened up new forms of education. It's opened up obviously more foreign styles and modes of education for all levels, including colleges. So I think this is a moment of experimentation, and I think that if there's a good side to the COVID-19 epidemic, it's hard to imagine that there might be something good that could come from it, but this might be something good, which is the COVID-19 epidemic has forced us to rethink some of our educational structures and to discover that, in fact, big changes can be made at any point. And now's the time to try something new, because obviously there is a new normal that we're operating under now. We'll have to figure out how to make these changes going forward.
That's the key, isn't it? The other thing that many have been talking about is the ban of computer games beyond the 3 hours for every kid. That, of course, is a regulation. So how are you taking that as part of the changes that we are seeing in educational system? Mr. Wang.
Well, I think it's totally aligned with what we have discussed formerly. That is, if you have a lot of extracurricular activities, like out of the classroom, they have the field trips and other things that they're really interested in, like playing football, basketball, all kinds of sports and so on. They don't have to, totally obsessed with the, computer games or some video games and also the mobile phone things. So I think it's good. And also students probably should know online resources are very helpful, but they should make a kind of clear picture about what is good, what is not good. That is also help them to develop a little bit.
Yeah, I think this is a move towards a more inclusive and quality education. The first is actually this education reform is part of a larger equity-oriented policy reform in China. The first is by banning the for-profit tutoring companies and also to extend the on-campus services, tutoring services to students, that all the students will have more equal opportunities for tutoring services. And even when they want to use those the off-campus tutoring services, they could get them at a more moderate price, because all those tutoring companies are is going to be converted to non-profit organizations.
David Moser, Wang Shi, and Wang Yan, thank you so much for joining us.